Hello and welcome back to Rage Gaming and a surprising video today, because today I'm talking about a new Monster Hunter game, but not Wilds. This is Monster Hunter Outlanders, a game we somewhat knew about but finally actually see something of now with some real information to look at. Essentially back in 2022, we heard that Capcom were in development for a new game for the Monster Hunter series by working with the Timi studio group. That's a mobile development studio under Tencent Games. It's a big publisher involved in many of the massive current games like League of Legends and PUBG. So if Capcom want to release a new mobile-focused Monster Hunter game, it's a reasonable collaboration. Finally, we get to see what this game actually is thanks to that new trailer. We're looking at a much more actual Monster Hunter-looking mobile game though, and a huge open world with a map reveal, and a different take on the classic hunter and animal companion look. The official description of the game is this though: Monster Hunter Outlanders is an open-world survival game set in the Monster Hunter universe. We aim to create a mobile game that allows players to enjoy the Monster Hunter experience with friends, anytime, anywhere. So alongside that and the trailer, there's information from Capcom on Twitter, some gameplay clips, an important interview with the media outlet 4Gamer with a representative from both Capcom and Timi. So that gives us even more information. Let's cover it all, starting with the big one, the trailer itself. The trailer is about 1 minute long but does show a variety of the new mechanics, things we've never seen in a Monster Hunter game. We begin looking at this crystal-covered mountain, and right at the top left there is this big spark, a glow, a light in the clouds. That's probably a monster. Next, we see our first hunter in a familiar Rathalos set though, and he's got a longsword. The hunter's with a different companion here though, a kind of cute monkey creature, so I guess this would be this game's version of a palico. It calls this hunter over to a catapult, which we see used later in the gameplay. Next though, the hunter joins up with another hunter, which appears to be a dancer-themed dual blades user. This could be a different version of Kula Yaku armor, it's just a different design but similar enough. But that brings us to our first monster reveal, which is Rathian, only one that's glowing with these bright orange veins running along it, blatantly put next to the crystals, so potentially this region, these crystals, are causing these strange behaviors. This Rathian reminded Josh of the Conflagration Rathian though, which is a variant of Rathian introduced in Monster Hunter Online, which was over 11 years ago now. Next though is a look at the logo for the game, Monster Hunter Outlanders, a sharp circle pulsing and popping with crystals sticking out of it, fitting the theme, but there is indeed a monster here, likely a new one for the game. But next we have a look at the actual game. It's a lush, strange jungle or wooded environment with plateaus and a lot of verticality, which makes sense with the glider stuff we're going to see. In this area there's only hints of crystals though, so it must not be everywhere, but the area does give us a shot of some small monsters, some Aptonoth. In the next shot we get a reveal of two familiar faces though. We have Anjanath carrying a great Jagras around in its mouth, so that's two monsters from World alongside that classic but new version of Rathian. Next there's a shot of night. There appears to be a day and night cycle in the game, makes sense for a survival game. In an area though that is kind of a river or a swamp with some kelpie hanging out. But if you actually slow things down and look in this tree, there is another world monster, Tobi Kadachi. So clearly world monsters is a thing. As this continues into the next scene, in a drier area but with water, like the Wildspar Waste or something, here we have Duratodus hunting some Kestodons. Next we get a wide shot of those two terrains mixed together, and then the volcanic region off in the distance. The hunter's flying up in the air using a glider here, showing the kind of stark changes between the terrain. So on the left we have the desert, on the right that lush green area, and the volcanic region in the back. I imagine the glider is going to be a vital way to get around a big map like this though. Speaking of traversal though, there's more shown. We have swimming. Obviously underwater combat's going to come up because we saw swimming now, but to me this looks like movement. The weapon is clearly sheathed, the water very shallow, though the hunter does choose to exit quickly to avoid the Skajal. Suddenly we're sliding down a huge hill in this next scene at really fast speed as a bow user in a new very naturey set. There are some crystals here, but more traversal is shown with some swinging on beetles or Zelda style rock climbing. So we've got gliding, swimming, sliding, swinging and climbing. And special things we're going to use to get around, such as these catapults, where this hunter just launches up into the air Superman style, getting really high as they pull out the glider. This shot goes up into the sky to look down on the map, where we see a massive tree, probably related to that nature bow set, but also there's a monster flying at its top. We can't quite see what monster that is, but I would guesstimate that that's a Rathalos or something. But overall, it is a big looking map, surrounded by water, and also there's crashed boats in this shot, so I imagine that's how we got here. This then goes to show a hunter's map, which gives us a lot of information. We have these three different areas. We have the desert at the top left, a grassy area in the center, and this sandy kind of rocky area, which is probably that volcanic region at the bottom right. So a lot of info there. But lastly, the trailer ends with a shot of the logo and this text that states the game is coming soon on mobile. That surprised me because I expected this to be a mobile developed game, but one that would also be available on PC, like, many high-end mobile games these days. Will this be different to that then? Obviously, if it gets a PC version, that would be a big thing for the game. And with Google Play being on Windows, it does mean a lot of modern mobile releases are just on PC as well. So just because it said mobile doesn't mean it won't be available on some kind of PC format, though we don't know. Naturally, there's going to be a big topic and concern around monetization with a mobile game, but we haven't learned anything about that yet. Other games by this group, though, do seem to have less intense monetization than I'm used to seeing in these games, so there is some vague hope there. But that's the trailer. Like I said, there is more to this. Say on Twitter, we have the official Monster Hunter account drawing attention to the new Outlanders Twitter account and the official webpage. The webpage doesn't seem to feature any new info yet, but I'm sure it will soon. But under that first big tweet, there was this footage. We have a longsword user fighting that unique Rathian. It lands as the hunter lands a couple of simple attacks. The Rathian rears up for a big explosive shot, but the hunter counters that with a longsword and then follows that with a round slash, as you'd expect. Then the hunter prepares himself with a special sheath for the next counter to come, but then the footage ends. So that's our first, seemingly actual gameplay to look at. How does this control and function? Hard to say, but it's something to consider. Now, there's one last big thing to look at, which is that interview with 4Gamer. Let's cover that, but as a warning, this was translated from the original language by Google Translate, so I will be paraphrasing and rewording where I have to. The first question was asked about the joint production, the announcement of it back in 2022, what's happened in the past 2 years, and what is necessary to call it a Monster Hunter game or in that series. They answered by saying they had many discussions about things of this nature. What should we be careful about for a Monster Hunter game? Does it have the fun of a Monster Hunter game? But actually what took a lot more time than anything for the discussion was how to express originality of this work, I assume compared to, normal Monster Hunter games. What's going to make this a new hunting experience that takes advantage of the setting that they're going to be in? How can they best experience these things on mobile? The next question, though, was what's the meaning behind the Outlanders title? And it was answered that Outlanders means adventurers heading to unknown lands, which is very Monster Hunty. Interestingly, the protagonists of this work are called adventurers rather than hunters, though. But they say that they're going to give us details on the story soon. In this interview, we get a look at some nice wallpaper-esque shots of the different environments, and we have that lush green giant tree there, and in the same area, I think, is that swamp area to show that there's a bit more to each area than just one theme. The next question is, what is the position of this title in the Monster Hunter series? So I guess where does it fit in? There's elements not found in the other series, like a battle system in which the roles of the character and companion are important, and the use of crafting to survive this survival environment. After all, they have told us that it's a survival game, so there's going to be features of that nature. Will that go beyond a food and water system and a building-based system? I've no idea because we've not seen anything like that. But we get these shots of some hunters in different sets, revealing even more monsters that you would assume would be in the game. And it also reveals that, Bowgun will also be here as it turns out. The next question is, what's the target audience? Is it Monster Hunter players or more than that? And their answer is that, they want, obviously, Monster Hunter players to play it, but they want it to be open to everyone and a way to get people into Monster Hunter games. They couldn't tell us anything about the development status and the planned release date yet, but they do tell us about the payment system, at least a little bit. This is a free-to-play mobile app game. We are planning to implement paid content, but please wait for a while for details. Will the game support multiplayer? How many types of weapons and monsters are there going to be? At the moment, it's going to have multiplayer for up to 4 people, and they can't give us a specific number for weapon type numbers, but they reference 5 to begin with: longsword, dual blades, light bow gun, bow, and lance. At the end of the interview are these official shots of 3 hunters that look, really different to what we're used to seeing. But based on that list, this makes sense. We have bow, we have dual blades, and there's that lance user, I would imagine. So 5 weapons shown overall. So what do you guys think? Are you optimistic and hopeful, or are you concerned about the whole mobile focus and potential monetization? It's going to be free to play with paid content, but what paid content? We don't know. Ultimately, the game is a lot more actual Monster Hunter looking than I would have imagined for a mobile game, but we'll see. For now though, thanks for watching, see you next time.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.